And hello everybody, welcome to part 8.1. I just accepted that since the previous two cross-country videos were 2 parts, it's going to be the same way with this one, so I just already planned it that way. But here's part 8.1, which will be the 2023 cross-country season at UC Merced. And then part 8.2 is going to be 2024 cross-country season, which will be my final season of collegiate competition. With that introduction out of the way, let's hop right into just the 2023 XC season. What it was like being outside Monterey County for the first time in my running career. So, it was a weird thing. It was a very exciting thing, but it was a weird thing. You know, I remember when I went to UC Merced, okay, well actually the very first day, Cole Rommelfinger, who grows to be one of my closest friends along with Draven and Elijah, I was holding a Mega Minx, and he was also a fan of Rubik's Cubes, okay, so that made for easy buying. So, UC Merced was a very weird thing for me at first, actually. As I got to know the team more, you know, I was very used to being the only STEM runner, okay, at that school. That was the first. You know, everyone was pretty much a STEMmer. I was surrounded by civil, mechanical, physics majors, okay? I was used to being surrounded by just psychology. Frankie was a mathematics major, but it was just about him. Otherwise, everyone was either... We had some nursing at Hartnell, but I was just used to being the only STEM guy. At Merced, that was not the case anymore. I also, for 6 years, was used to being the only vegan/vegetarian. That was not the case at Merced. Kaylee and Derek were both vegetarian. Sharvin. Okay, Sharvin was Indian, so he didn't eat beef, but then would just sometimes just say, I'm just vegetarian to make it easier. Then there was me. Some would argue I acted more vegetarian than vegan. Yeah, that might be true, I won't lie. Sometimes I give in to the temptation to have a little bit of ice cream here and there, or I'll eat a cookie that has a little bit of egg in it, but I still say mainly vegan. Anyways, but that was a first, and it was unreal, but it felt good. I was like, oh shoot, maybe I was just in the wrong place. And then, so yeah, STEM, being surrounded by people more like-minded, let's say. And then, also getting up early. I was also used to being really the only guy that woke up at 5 a.m. No longer in case everyone woke up at 5 a.m. It felt good, honestly. I was like, oh, wow, this isn't just me anymore. I remember the biggest thing that felt weird was, nobody knew about Bemon or any of those previous Hartnell guys. Up until I came on and started talking about all of them. So it's funny, my opportunity to just be the only one that they knew about went out the window, because then I started talking about all those guys all the time. I was very used to being compared to them by 6 years, then I kept talking about them, and I'm funny, it's funny how you bring with you your past into the future. Guys are totally cool, chill with it. But Merced was honestly fun. Now, what's funny is I didn't start off breaking out, so and what you call it, sometimes I have thought I didn't break out at all like I was hoping, and there might be some truth to that, but we still had some breakthroughs, so that's mainly what we're going to take, especially years down the line. But you know, I remember I was summer training, doing 60-mile weeks throughout the summer. Just felt good. It was honestly really good, just felt good to be training. I remember I did a 3-mile time trial by myself, and I successfully hit 15:55 all by myself. I was very, very proud. Things were looking good, and the team was awesome. I was getting to know them all. A very famous, pivotal moment in the UC Merced timeline, if you will, would be the 2023 Dinky Creek trip. If you want to see that, it's one of the first multi-part vlog series on the channel, actually, and it's actually one of the fan favorites of the UC Merced team. And I won't lie, it's also one of my favorites. But Dinky Creek, we all went there, and we all just got to bond with each other and hang out. And you know what's funny about it? I remember the day before we left for 2025 track and field national, Sharon said, let's watch it. And we watched like all 6 videos. And I remember when I was watching it, I was like, shoot, this is like literally our origin story that like they'll put in like a cartoon series. Like, this is the origin story of how we all began. What's funny is like Draven talking about Weevils, me just vlogging being me. Like, that was the first time the team really got to meet like Draven, Cole, and I, and like they were probably like, who the heck are these guys? Which deservedly so. But it was funny, just thinking about that, like, shoot, this was where we began, and look at how it's grown. Like, honestly, Dinky Creek 2023 was so fun. We did hikes, we camped in tents, got to know everyone. It was just so much fun. The best ice bath on the planet was at Dinky Creek. Those natural creeks were just great. They were also super cold, which made them great for natural ice baths. We got to go to Shaver Lake. It was great up there. We all had to, I remember, go up there and take care of our financial aid stuff because we barely had any service. And it was a lot of fun, and training was going well. We did a half marathon out there, and those hills were in the elevation. It cooked you a little bit, but made you feel powerful. It was honestly just so much fun. It was a great introduction to what ended up being a great team. I'll never forget, though, Derek doing the hill repeats. He killed himself to do them, and he threw up at the end. I was like, ooh, dang, this kid's willing to work and kill himself for it. And he was. I'm going to give him that. But then, so this was all 2023 cross country. A lot of fun. Workout's going good. But then I remember my very first race actually was actually at the Fresno Invite, which actually Hartnell was at. I got my very first race as a UC Merced Bobcat. I got a race against my Aljuco team. And you know, it's funny. I remember at state, I ran injured on that 4-mile wood park course, 22:35, okay? We run that day, I'm like totally healthy, and then I managed to run the exact same time. And I remember I was like, oh, Lanta, what am I doing wrong? I don't know what happened that day. Some would probably, I remember Jonathan was telling me up, he's like, I think it's the fact that your old JC was here. Maybe it was. I don't think it was. I just think I had a mental block. I don't know what happened. I was with the top 10. I looked around, then I got really scared, and then I just died. And yeah, it's just kind of what happened. So it is what it is, though. But yeah, I remember the 4-mile Woodward Park opener. I was kind of like, oh man, I couldn't break through on the 4-mile course. I was really sad about it, actually. Remember, I kept my head up. Coach told me, hey, don't worry about it. It happens. Just move on from it. And we did. And then we ran Kim Dice in 2023. And Kim Dice was a fun race. Both years it was a fun race. I remember in 2023, there was some like lightning and thunder. I forget which one's the sound and which one's just the actual thunderbolt. But I remember we were there. It was raining, all that, and our race, we were supposed to run like oh gosh. We were supposed to run at like maybe, I think it was like 9 p.m. You can see it right here. I managed to get on the announcement for the day, but like that day it got delayed to like 11 p.m. and I remember like we were all just trying to keep warm and such. I remember I ate a Cliff Bar. It was the peanut butter Cliff Bar. I was like, oh, my stomach's feeling a little odd, but we just ran anyway. But I remember when we ran, it felt so good. We were just running that 8K. I remember it was my first ever 8K. I was just like, run as fast as you can. I just ran and ran. And it was on this nice golf course. It was totally dark, totally wet. And I remember I ran through it, and 4-mile race didn't go so hot. I run that race, and what happened? I ended up running 26:36, was like 5:21 per mile. For reference, the 4-mile Woodward Park time was 5:39 per mile. Helped that course was flat. It was new. It was the 8K, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I managed to heck of here, and it felt great. I remember Vicente was really cheering me on, even though he was like, I do think he could have been sub 26 that day. He's like, this was just great, and I felt great and just happy. Then what you call it? We then move on. It's in the Masters invite. And I remember we ran there. My mom came and showed up, and you know it's funny. A school that was potentially recruiting me was Montana Tech, and they were actually there. I remember I said to my mom, I was like, "Hey, mom, even if I went to Montana Tech, you could have seen me run today." Remember we ran that day. I ran okay. It was like 26:41. Nothing like terrible. Just nothing really great. Like I thought I would have ran faster than Kim Dice, but I ended up not, and I was like, oh well, it is what it is. But I remember I was happy to see my mom and get back my jean jacket, which was really cool. But Masters was like, I miss. But I'd say the pivotal point of 2023, which unfortunately, even though I got to go to Michigan, I did not end up racing, unfortunately. I did have a lot of fun in Michigan, actually, before I go into Bronco. Michigan, really fun trip just with the team. Totally what I remember seeing everybody race, and I was like, oh, I wish I could be there. I remember it was totally wet, right? And then right after the race, we all went to the airport. We were all probably like really musty. And I was like, oh, bro, these people are gonna hate us. But it is what it is. That was honestly though a really fun trip. Again, if you want to see that, all the vlogs really took off at UC Merced. Like Hartnell, I only did them for one season. Merced I did for the whole 2 years there. So like the whole journey is like really documented at UC Merced. They got to reap all the benefits of my, what you call it, infrastructure for making the albums and the vlogs at Hartnell. They got to reap all the benefits of that because I had all the systems in place. But anyways, do that. And Michigan. Then I remember the whole point of that season was talk about trying to win CalPac against Embry-Riddle. Okay, we did not do that. We were actually very close at CalPac to begin, but unfortunately, a few things just happened that didn't allow us to secure the win. Unfortunately, they barely beat us, though. I remember, and it was like, oh, man, we were still happy though. We were still proud. Then I remember I couldn't race that day. And I remember Coach said to me that when he was giving the team talk, he's like, Josh, we're going to need you in track. We're going to need you next cross season, so get healthy, okay? Remember, that motivated me, actually, really greatly. And here's good news. How you begin isn't how you end. Anyways, I went through all that. Let me get back to Bronco. Bronco was actually the worst race I've ever ran in 2020. In my entire career of running, I just ran so bad. I know why now. That, what you call it, that season, so I have really bad pronation for those who don't know. That season I got really enamored with getting free shoes, and I was kind of a little cocky coming off my really good track season from Hartnell. I was like, oh, you know what, I'll be fine if I wear different shoes, what's it matter? Well, the trainers, after going weeks and weeks just without any extra stability support, kind of ruined me. And then Bronco, I really felt it. I really felt it those final weeks of running, but I was just trying to trudge through because I just really wanted to race and compete. But you know, with oh man, with Bronco, I just blew up. I remember I ran, but then like mile 3, no matter how hard I was pushing, I just could not push forward. And I remember after the race, I felt so defeated. So keep in mind, I was 26:36. I ran 27:53 that day. It was terrible. I was like, oh gosh, that was embarrassing for myself. And I was like, oh, I poorly represented King City, Hartnell, and Merced especially. I was like, this is bad. I finished like 8th for our team, I think. And I remember, I'll never forget this. I was totally pissed. Jarvin asked me after, he's like, you good? I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Well, I wasn't, and, well, this girl came to see me that day from Hartnell, Joanna. Well, when I saw her, I started crying. I immediately broke down. I was like, oh, Joe, I'm so sorry I had to see that. It was totally, totally embarrassing. Okay, it's funny to look back on now. And I'm mature enough and, well, I think humorous enough to laugh at it now. But I remember when I saw her, I just gave up all hope. I just gave up trying to look tough and watch it. I just started crying. She was a real one until they covered me though. So shout out Joanna. But that ended up being the last time I would compete that season. I had to miss out on Michigan. I gotta go on the trip, like I said, but didn't end up racing. I did not race CalPAC, and I did not see, and unfortunately, just couldn't help the team with getting a win. I'm not saying if I raced, we would have won. I probably would have actually just ran a worse race than Bronco, honestly. But what can you do? But I just said, you know what? I remember that first cross season. I was like, crud. I just got my butt handed to me. I got injured. I couldn't be on the 4-mile Woodward Park course. I ran an okay AK, but I feel like we're in shape for faster. And I was just like, dang, that was good. Thankfully, the beginning is not the end. And what ended up being my biggest setback, and one other thing I should mention probably, what did not help, was keep in mind I'm keeping up with all my other friends. I'm hearing what's going on for them, and like DP got to go to all conference, Frankie got all conference and was running nationals. Danny was coming out of retirement finally. Ricky got to run conference. I was just like, oh man, I want to be competing alongside these guys, making my own story. I remember for a while there, my first season at Merced, I had fun and I loved my team. But I was like, am I actually going to be able to do something? Like, I really didn't know. But what kept me in was one, my unrelenting desire to just conquer the world. But also, I had a really good team. You know, Merced, whether or not they know it, is one of the most special groups I ever got to run with. It helped I had probably the most in common with this team between being surrounded by STEM majors, being with other vegans and vegetarians, but also they were just a good group to talk with. I love them all, and like they're all just really good people, and I have so many good memories with them. Like between the times we just met up, tortilla slapping, that was hilarious. All our talks, teasing one another. If they weren't teasing Kevin, they were teasing me. I was like, oh, not bad. And then just seeing everyone grow. Ali G, Cole, and Draven are three of my favorites that I love to talk about, seeing them grow. Sergio, Jorge, all of them. Alberto, fellow ME JUCO transfer, like, felt good. And one very special thing about Merced too that really motivated me was I was the first. So Berto will be the first JUCO runner to run on the team. But he was walking on. I will be the first ever JUCO recruit for that team. So I took it as a really big mission of mine to really empower myself as a JUCO transfer, but also represent all the JUCOs for down the line. Okay. And I remember for a minute there, I thought I wasn't going to be able to do it. Very luckily, as I keep saying, the beginning was not the end, because it ended up being one of the greatest setbacks, led to one of my greatest comeuppance of all time, and I managed to achieve things never thought possible. So that's about 2023. It wasn't the start I wanted, but it was the start I got, and ended up leading to something pretty special with a special group of people. So I'm now going to talk about 2024 cross country.